Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I would like to continue with my series on aromatherapy knowledge by focusing on the buying and storing of essential oils. As a basis for some of the information that I've got in this video today, I've gone back to my original textbook that I used in my college days, which is The Essential Guide to Holistic and Complementary Therapy by Helen Beckman and Suzanne Le Quesnay. And in this text, which is still used in colleges today, the chapters on aromatherapy and the health and safety and storage of oils in aromatherapy practice are really, really helpful. And I've added to that with current knowledge, which I'll share with you later on in the video. So, aromatherapy has its roots, as many of you know, in ancient history and has been used by our ancestors over thousands of years for both healing and well-being. So modern aromatherapy stemmed from the work in the 1930s by pioneers such as the French chemist René Maurice Gassafossi, a surgeon called Jean Valnet, and an Austrian beautician and biochemist named Marguerite Maury. Apologies for any mispronunciations of surnames. But building on their work, aromatherapy has now developed into the therapeutic use of these concentrated essential oils to heal the body and the mind and promote wellness and well-being. And this is through the application of these essential oils into the skin or through inhalation of the aromatherapy oils. So aromatherapy has become a therapy in its own right, but it's also used as an addition to many other therapies and treatments. With the use of what are quite volatile oils comes a responsibility to ensure they are used in a safe manner. And this is by anybody that is practicing as an aromatherapist, anybody working with oils in other industries, or indeed from the suppliers to ensure that those people who are using it in the home have an awareness of the cautionary measures that you need to take when you are using, as I said, these quite volatile oils. So understanding some of these basic standards for health and safety will avoid risk and ensure a safe and enjoyable aromatherapy experience. And that's really what I want to focus on today. So I want to start off with the buying of essential oils and then move on to the storage and organisation of your oils till later. When buying essential oils, there are some key things that you really do need to look out for. One of the main ones of these is to try and avoid what we call adulterated oils. And the way to do this is to really choose your oil supplier carefully. An adulterated oil is one that has been changed since leaving the still in which it was created. And this could be by adding things like alcohol or by adding a synthetic product to bulk it up, which makes it go that much further, thereby obviously saving money. But the more this is done, the more the therapeutic value of that oil actually decreases, and it can get to the extent where it will not do what you wanted it to do. So the next key point is to make sure that you purchase oils that are in sealed bottles. So I've got a few oils that I'm going to use to help me demonstrate. So I purchased one last week, which is oregano, or oregano to some people, and this one will be in a sealed bottle. So we're going to break the seal on that. So you have to press down really hard so you know it's sealed. So that's what you're looking for, something that is in sealed bottles. If you are, if you have the ability to smell the tester oil, and a lot of these suppliers do allow you, particularly if they're selling in chemists or shops that deal particularly in aromatherapy oils, they sometimes do have a tester oil available for you to check. So if you are testing the tester oil, one thing you mustn't do is put it directly on the skin, because you could get a reaction, and it's much better to do a patch test when you're at home to check that you haven't got any allergies for that particular oil. So the easiest alternative is, and if people are selling you essential oils, they should be able to let you smell these via something like this, which is a scent stick, and that very much smells like oregano. So I'm fairly confident that that is an unadulterated oil. And I'll give you some tips and clues to look out for in a moment, which can help you further identify whether oils have been adulterated or not. So don't try and smell too many of these oils in one go, and absolutely never more than 6. The way that we smell is through our olfactory system, and if we have too many of these strong smells, the olfactory system can get overloaded and quite confused. So 3 to 6 is plenty. So another key point is to only buy essential oils that are in smoked glass bottles or sealed prepared containers. Never buy or store in plastic containers, because obviously the oil can be impacted by the chemicals in plastics. So you can see here all of the oils that I'm going to use in my demonstrations have that smoky, dark glass that you want to look out for. Also, be aware, if you are buying for home use, then do buy in small quantities. You don't need to buy a big range, and also go for the smaller sizes. Now, one of the reasons for that is that these oils have a shelf life, many of them only up to 2 years, and citrus oils even less. And once opened, these oils deteriorate. So buying smaller bottles is better than buying large ones. So some other things to look out for once you've identified those key aspects are that the oil should smell like the plant it comes from. This one, for example, that I opened earlier, the oregano, definitely smells like the herb. So it smells like the plant that it's actually coming from. So that's a really useful tip. And when you inhale, it should affect you in some way. So, for example, here we've got lemon. So, if I put that onto a scent stick, and that gives me a very vibrant, pleasant, uplifting feeling. Now, synthetic oils, when you do that, you feel slightly uncomfortable and say, oh, well, that's not how I thought it would smell. And it sometimes can cause irritation, so you know immediately that something's not quite right there. So that's one good thing that you can look out for. The other thing is that different oils should be priced differently. Now, when I first started buying oils, I got very confused. I said, well, why? They're all the same size. Why are they not all the same price? And it wasn't until it was explained to me that actually the price should reflect the yield of the essential oil from the plant or the flowers, and the production involved in putting that essential oil together. And some of the production costs are extremely high. Rose Absolute, for example, takes a lot of rose petals, so it's very high in production costs. Low prices may also mean that the oil is diluted, so that's quite a good indication, and it could even be a second or third distillation of the plant, which will then compromise the therapeutic value. So do watch out for that one. And oils should display their botanical names. For example, here, the one that we looked at, the lemon one, under there it's got citrus limon, which is there. The oregano one here is oregano vulgare, so that has its botanical name. And indeed, the boxes that these oils come in can tell you quite a lot. So, for example, here from Absolute Aromas, we've got geranium, but it tells you on the bottle that it's one particular type of geranium, in this case bourbon, and it's got the botanical name on there as well. And also, what I like about this is this statement. It says, this oil is 100% pure, natural, and undiluted. What I also like, and this is on all the manufacturers, they have these warning signs, which is caution, do not take internally, do not use undiluted on the skin, so you need to put it in a carrier oil. Keep away from children. I always think that should say keep away from children, pets, and vulnerable adults, and keep away from eyes. So, useful instructions and cautionary notes on both the bottles and the boxes. So, always helpful that the suppliers have gone to that extra element of putting some more information on the boxes to keep you informed. So, the other thing to be aware of is that the part of the plant the oil comes from can have an important impact. So, for example, something like juniper berry is far superior to oil distilled from the juniper leaves, and that can make a huge difference. And there should be a price difference to indicate that as well. Let me just put these out of the way. But as I said, keep your boxes. You might find there's some good information on there. So that's a few key points for you to think about when you're buying your essential oils. The next thing to think about is how you're actually going to store your oils. So I've mentioned that storing essential oils in dark bottles is the best way to keep them to their maximum shelf life. So the bottles should also have inverted stoppers. So let's just open this one. This is Roman chamomile, beautiful smell. But you can see here there is an inverted stopper, which is helpful. It stops the oil spilling out and helps you to control the number of drops. And don't forget, you should not use this neat on the skin, and it should be mixed generally with a carrier oil. And for some oils, you can go to your suppliers and get ready mixed blends. So this one, for example, from Absolute Aromas, called Good Night, the natural alternative for a restful night. And this one has a number of oils that are already blended, and it tells you on the box that it's a mixture of lavender, marjoram, geranium and chamomile. So it's a blend of 100% pure, natural, undiluted essential oils. And then it tells you and gives you the instructions in terms of dilution. And it also gives you a helpful label to know that this is a pre-mixed blend of oils. So you need to ensure that the lids are tight as well. If you leave them open, and it's quite easy to do, you can just do that and think it's shut, then the oils tend to evaporate out of the bottles. So be careful, make sure the lids are tight. And do store your oils away from light, heat, moisture and air. So in other words, keep them in a cool, dark place. When mine are not in use, I actually store them in a dark cupboard, which is cool, downstairs where my cats can't get into the cupboard. And that's a much safer, secure place than leaving them out. So again, cautionary notes, keep these away from children, pets and vulnerable adults. So storing them in a cool, dark place, preferably one that you can shut away in a cupboard, is the best way to keep them stored and avoid any risk of people opening them by mistake. And again, if you've got clients coming in, then they should be stored in a secure place when not in use. If possible, do try and label all of your bottles. It makes them much easier to find. And I've got a bit of housekeeping to do, and I've actually purchased some labels. So one of my tasks in the next few weeks is to sort out my oils and make sure they are labelled and easily accessible. I've been given quite a few recently, as people know that I've renewed my interest in aromatherapy. I am actually being given oils, and my housekeeping needs to improve, and I might actually share that one with you. So keep essential oils, as I said, in that safe place. So moving to another aspect of storage, which is organisation. And organisation is key to ensuring a risk-free environment for your essential oils. And you need to be aware of what is in each of your bottles. So I tend to store mine in boxes like these small wooden boxes, and I separate them into top, middle and base notes. So So this is my middle note box, and I store them. And as I said, one of the reasons I've purchased the labels is I've been given so many oils recently, and I need to put labels on these and sort all this out so that my housekeeping is much more structured. So I may well, as I said, share that one with you at a later date. But these boxes come in different sizes, and I find these wooden ones very helpful. Keep the oils contained, and they're nice. This Tisserand one is years old and it's still survived in very good condition. I think actually it was my mother that bought me this one when I first started studying aromatherapy many years ago. Now there are other versions, such as quite light boxes. I don't find those useful. I think they mix the oils a little bit too much. I think these wooden ones contain the smell of the oils as well, which is really good. So other people will have their own methods of storing. So you do what you are comfortable with. I just happen to like storing mine in the top, middle and base notes, separating them in each boxes and then arrange them alphabetically, and then it suits me to quickly find what I need. Other people will store them via their fragrance groups, so spice, citrus, floral, woody, or by effect, putting all the relaxing oils together, uplifting oils, and indeed on some of these packages, where have we got? We've got, for example, here, the Me Aroma ones, they've got refreshing as a category, so you might want to do that. Tisserand, for example, have this as a citrus one, so you might want to do it by fragrance as well. So some people just prefer simply to organise their oils alphabetically, and that's perfectly acceptable as well. There are a couple of key guidance areas which are absolutely crucial. Always dilute your essential oils unless they have already been diluted for you, and say they are safe to use directly on the skin. So you can do this with carrier oils or with creams or add them to balms, as long as you don't put essential oils. There are very few that you can put directly onto the skin. So undiluted oils can cause things like skin irritations, and some have more serious side effects. And I did want to just refer to my textbook on this and actually read out the crucial area that they've got on here under the health and safety aspect, and in particular the toxicity of these essential oils. So, aromatherapy is the use of essential oils in a controlled, sensible way. The majority of oils are quite safe, provided they are treated with respect and used in low dilution. Some are highly toxic even in small quantities. It is the misuse of essential oils that causes problems. Oils, when used in excess or over prolonged periods, may lead to the body becoming immune to their effects. And I do just want to highlight these elements of toxicity. So this is a broad term that is used in aromatherapy to describe the hazardous effects associated with misuse of essential oils. There are two main categories. Acute toxicity refers to the effects of short-term administration of a substance, and usually a single high lethal dose. Acute oral toxicity is poisoning. So if you drink some of these, and this is why I'm saying it's so important to keep these away from vulnerable people, it can kill them. So you have to be careful and aware. Then you've got acute dermal toxicity is excessive use of essential oil absorbed into the skin that causes systematic toxicity. This could lead to a damage to the liver and kidneys. And then you've got that chronic toxicity, which refers to repeated use of a substance over a period of weeks, months, and even years. It is used to describe the adverse effects both to the skin and other systems of the body. Symptoms can include headaches, nausea, minor skin eruptions, and lethargy. Citrus oils are a high risk group due to their terpene content. The degree of toxicity will depend on the amount of essential oil used and the route of administration. So, obviously, with oral administration posing the biggest risk. I thought you might find that quite interesting. And what's also interesting in this textbook, for those of you that want to have a more thorough idea of the content of the oils that you want to use, this goes into very great detail. It looks at the origin of the particular oil, the extraction, the appearance, the odour. So here we've got basil, and known as the top note. So it's herbaceous, spicy, rich, camphorous with distinct aniseed tones. What I like about this is it actually has the precautions written in here. So, for example, something like basil may cause skin sensitivity in some individuals, and recommended use is in lower concentrations and do not use during pregnancy. So, being aware of the oils that you are using is really, really helpful. It tells you where they're sourced from, what they blend well with, and what you can use it for. And literally, there are pages taking each of the oils and going into detail. And I find if you want to continue with aromatherapy, having a reference tool such as this to refer to is really helpful. I know you can do it online, but I just prefer it in black and white. And then I just want to run through from my own college notes a reminder of some of the oils that are toxic oils if misused. So things like aniseed, arnica, bitter almond, camphor, mugwort, pennyroyal, sassafras, savory, thuja, wintergreen, and wormwood are ones to really look out for. And you can get phototoxicity as well. So this refers to a photochemical reaction which occurs in the skin due to the combination of the phototoxic oil and ultraviolet rays. So this may result in a mild colour change, rapid tanning, and hyperpigmentation of the skin. And in severe cases, it can cause blistering or deep weeping burns. So be careful. Obviously, if you're going to use aromatherapy oils, then with certain ones of them, don't go and sit out and sunbathe because you might not like the results. And I've got a whole list here of oils which, applied undiluted, may cause severe irritation or burning. And my advice is just don't use undiluted oils on the skin, and then you will avoid that. And the other cautionary note here is obviously using essential oils in pregnancy. There's a special note here. It says all essential oils are best avoided during the first 3 months of pregnancy and postnatal due to breastfeeding. After the third or fourth months, there are oils that can be used in aromatherapy treatments and some that are particularly effective for relaxation, but dilute them to a 1% solution. So literally just a couple of drops in 10 millilitres. So oils which are safe and which may be used diluted in baths for massage or as room fragrances are mandarin chamomile, geranium lavender, very diluted, neroli patchouli, rose otto, sandalwood, and ylang ylang. The ones that are preferred to use during these stages are neroli, rose otto, and sandalwood. If, however, you've got a pregnancy that has had complications, or you've got a history of complications, then you really just are best avoiding using aromatherapy oils during that time. So, one of the reasons for cautions around the use of aromatherapy oils is that plant chemistry itself is very complex. And indeed, my good old reference tomb does go through some of the chemical compositions that you need to watch out for. But the chemistry is very complex, and the plants have developed natural defense systems against other plants, insects, and animals by creating their potent aromas. So, these concentrations of phytochemicals make these oils potentially hazardous when used directly on the skin. So, always do your research and dilute essential oils. And I know I've spent some time focusing on the cautionary elements, but aromatherapy is so wonderful when you get it right. And I do want you to encourage that. So, really being informed on the basics of the health and safety and the storage is the way to go. And that way, you can really enjoy the full benefits that these wonderful oils can give you. Many of the suppliers of these oils will provide you with helps and hints and tips on how to use them correctly. And I hope this again has stimulated those of you that really enjoy using aromatherapy oil to take it further and use a few more to really help with your health and well-being, because a lot of these you can use in self-care as well. So thank you for watching and sharing this aromatherapy knowledge session with me.